Hi, welcome back to Hutchinson Veterans Outreach Program. My name is Lisa Dettell, and today I'm here with Virgil Hens, and we are here to talk about the Veterans Serving America Donor Connection,
Correct.
the LLC. You want to let me know a little bit about your program? What do you do there?
Well, basically, we started out as being a Veterans Donor Connect, or Donor Connect, through the VA and through the other veterans organizations. We had a website, and people would go into the website, they'd review it, they would, you would post a picture of whatever you had to get rid of, such as what we've done here, okay? And I brought some pictures along so you have an opportunity to see what we have. We don't have it all on our website because there's about 10,000 pictures that we have.
Now, you basically deal with medical equipment. Now, how would somebody have to go to their doctor and then have them prescribe it to you? And then how does that work?
No, what you do is whatever you need, you just call the number on our card and we will facilitate it. Unless it's an electric scooter, which we have to also monitor the use of that piece of equipment because it's very dangerous. Yeah. The medical beds, you just say you need a medical bed, and I've got over 150 of them. I've had over 150, and I've got probably 45 or 50 now because we have donated to other countries that need them. And so what they do is they come in, the Ukraine came in the other day, and they took 3 trailer loads of equipment. It's not just for Americans or just for us.
Veterans,
It's
yep.
for anybody that needs it. And fortunately, I've reached out to other organizations, and because I've been around the Twin Cities for about 70 years, I've got a lot of connections. And having come out of the public accounting arena, I have a lot of corporate and other organizations that I deal with. So that's the good news. And believe me, this was not one of my intentions. I had no clue it even existed. But being associated with the VA for 38 years as I have, I've been out of service for over 55 years, since 1969. So that is the blessing, I guess, that we have the activity and the ability to connect. Before we had a website, which is probably the other best kept secret at the VA, because how would you know to go to Donor Connect and you're connecting medical equipment? Basically what we would be doing is you'd go into the website and you'd find a picture and you'd say, oh, I'd like that, and then they would call the individual, and then they would tell us, and then we'd go pick it up and we would deliver it to somebody that needed it.
Okay.
It was very simple. The only thing is we were doing probably 18, 20 a month. We're doing 18, 20 a day. And that's the difference between having given out our cards and our flyers as we work with people. And we work with all of the hospitals within the Minneapolis, not all of them, but the majority of them. And if you go to a caseworker or something, they have our information because we make it a point to get our information out to these people. And Joan, what do you call it, Shalom as an example, east, west,
Okay.
North, south, we deal with all the, they called yesterday and said we could use about a dozen of the two-wheel walkers,
Okay.
which everybody gets issued when they come out of a hospital if they can't walk. And so that's no problem. In fact, the guys were out delivering that this afternoon. And we also work with PCAs, personal care givers,
Okay.
and we also work with Medicaid, Medicaid, all of them. They now have our numbers. 6 months ago they didn't, but now within the last 6 months we've given out over 22,000 of our calling cards because we have what we call a meet and greet. We go to Cubs and Jerry's and Lund's. We don't get into Lund's so much, but we do Sam's Clubs and these other ones. And on the weekends, we do Friday and Saturdays. We're just getting back into it now. But what happens is we hand out our material. We also bring along some of our equipment that we have. We've got a ton of it down in the warehouse, so I bring out walkers and things that these warehouse that people can, and we give them away right there. So they know.
And these aren't just the old style walkers. These are.
Oh no, F-22 is the first class walker that the VA issues to Everybody. I've got one because I lost balance about 4 years ago, just before the pandemic.
Yeah, these are the
Yep.
newer kind.
That's the big one. This is the little one.
And
And there's a medium size, which is gray without the big springs in it, like this one. It looks like this. It's in between the two sizes.
okay. So you're not giving out just equipment that'll basically end up falling apart. You're actually giving out really nice equipment that's.
Each piece of equipment comes in. We have an individual, Dave, he goes through them, make sure everything's connected. The brakes work on them, they're hand brakes.
Yep.
And if it's a wheelchair, electric wheelchair, we'll check it out, make sure everything's functional. And it still has a tendency to, but anything mechanical will break. So anybody that thinks that they're all fine is just kidding themselves. We go through, we make sure that the equipment is functional, and our guys are very careful. We're all volunteers to a certain degree, and basically we just want to make sure that whoever gets whatever piece of equipment, that it's functional and that it works. That's the bottom line.
And nowadays, I mean, this is not cheap stuff here. This is expensive equipment.
Those two little walkers you showed, that red one is about $295. The black one is $350, and the gray one's about $325. And those are the top of the line that the VA issues. So it's not like the VA, and this is 90% of this equipment's all VA. We occasionally get some outside equipment, but it's very seldom. I would say out of 100 of those walkers, we probably get 3 that are issued through the VA. We have the rollators, which is another form of walker. We prefer the F-22 as I do because I've used it. I've had to use it for over a year and a half, and I couldn't walk because I hurt my knee and had to have a knee replacement, which is done a year ago last August. So we have a lot of experience personally. Most of our guys are all up there in the 75, 85-year-old bracket. We got a couple of boys that weren't in the Vietnam era, and but basically everybody that we have they're pretty well experienced. The good news is we have individuals that can repair these things and do a very good job in repairing them. At least checking them out to make sure that they're functional. That's our biggest concern, is that do they function and are they safe? And that's one of the reasons we also donate a ton of rollators to South America and to Ukraine, because these are non-electrical, mechanical type pieces of equipment, and they need stuff that they can rely on. And this equipment they can rely on. It's as good as it comes. It's what is issued today in most medical facilities. So
exactly.
And as far as we have medical beds, we have electric, and the funny part about it is all of the VA and medical beds are all manual and electrical. So it's not that you have to worry about having electricity. That's one of the reasons why Ukraine, South America, some of these places can take them, because of the fact that these things are not dependent upon electric. Because in combat situations,
nice. Well, yeah.
well, we've already been there. We know what happens when the wind hits and the power lines go down. Mm-hmm. And if you're sitting in a bed, you know that you got to be able to get up or move the bed or do something.
Exactly.
So that's the good news.
So now if you have, so if I have equipment that I have that's just sitting around my house.
Right.
Okay. Do I just call you and say,
Yep.
hey, listen, I've got another chair at home.
Sure.
It works. It's just, I already have another chair, so then you come out and pick it up?
We can come out and pick it up, or you can bring it to our facility down in Shakopee.
Okay.
We're down at 1850 Stagecoach Road, and it's just behind Home Depot in Shakopee. It's on the west side of the road, Stagecoach Road, which is Shakopee, and on the east side of the road is Savage. So we're 5 miles to downtown Shakopee, but it seems like it's a long ways away. When somebody says Shakopee, they think of the other side of the world, I guess. But yeah, now we do pick it up. We've got guys, because as we're picking up equipment, we're also distributing equipment.
Okay.
Because 90% of the people that require this equipment, do not have the facilities, but they do have sons and daughters and grandsons and daughters and whatever that can get them to. And the majority of our people are all over 70, 80 years old that we distribute to because they're usually senior citizens. Number one is everything that we have is free. We do not charge for anything. I pay the guys to make the deliveries, and we ask for a donation, whether it's $1 or $100 or $500. It doesn't make any difference to us.
It still costs gas.
It's still, and even if it's only $3.19 a gallon, yes, they still. But the thing of it is, being a volunteer today is very costly. It's not like it was back in my days where it was a secondary factor. But today, and you have to take care of your people. That's one of the things. Is having been, a field first sergeant in the Army, where I took care of my boys, you have to make sure that they're happy and comfortable. Because if they're not, believe me, the rest of it is not going to be either.
Exactly.
So that's the good news that we have, and we do our meet and greets, which we also have a little bucket there that they can donate if they would like, and people are very generous. We've had very good luck all the way through. And I've got gentlemen that work with us. I put them in the field so that they have an opportunity to see what we're experiencing. Because until you've been out there and you're under the pressure and under the fire, you have no idea what you're dealing with. And all of our boys are between 75 and 85 years old, which tells you, guess what? They're beyond. You
need more volunteers.
That would help, yes. And we're getting them because now I've just brought aboard a gentleman that is a CPA. He's also a licensed realtor in Minnesota and Florida. He's a young guy. He's only, 57. He's 20 years younger than I am, so it makes him
young guy.
I've got grandkids that are older than that. Anyway, make a long story short, yes, we can definitely use the help. And of all things today, one of the motorcycle programs called me today, and he wanted a car or wanted to know if we had any cars to donate to people. And he had a lady that and he's also a Marine, an ex-Marine, or a Marine, former Marine. And I said, we get calls from all the time, but I don't have any place to put them or anything to do. But I said, tell me a little bit about your organization. And he did. And I said, hey, look, I can make some calls and we'll find out, because the good news is we get calls all the time. The bad news is I'm an old accountant auditor type, so I've got records of everybody that calls me. Okay. And once you call me, you're in my spectrum. And that
you're
means
on your list.
You're on my list. And if you'd like to see, as an example, the number of people, I shut it off, that's right. Anyway, I've got over 4,000 telephone numbers in my telephone. And I don't even know how many thousand pictures I've got, but it's got to be up there. And make a long story short, we definitely are becoming as organized as, and that's one of the reasons why it's taken us about 1.5 years to 2 years to kind of get our feet on the ground and find out what we're really doing and how we're going to do it. And now I have a plan that we're working, and the gentleman that Ted is also a CPA, licensed here in Minnesota. He's also worked with non-profit organizations.
Okay.
So he's a 501c3 expert, which I've had my experience with 501c3s and the accounting world for 50-some years. So I think this is going to be able to move us into another realm. We have a situation right now where we're acquiring a building over in Bloomington, Edina. I didn't realize that the corner there is Bloomington, Edina. It's not just Edina or Bloomington. So we're in the process of acquiring a building, 7,500 square foot building. We have a 5,000 square feet, but we share it with another guy down in Shakopee. And so we're walking before we run. Yep. And I don't think we'll ever be running. We'll just be doing fast time.
There you go.
Because what happens is you can get into things, and the experience that we have is things change minute by minute, not hour by hour or day by day. But we have a person, as an example, yesterday, a gal that needed a transporter chair.
Now that would be cool.
That would be good. That would be definitely, and that's one of the things. So anyway, she had to go to the doctor today. I happen to have one in my truck. I was out picking up 2 electric scooters and an electric wheelchair. And what ultimately happened was I was in Brooklyn Center. She's in Brooklyn Park. It was 3 or 5 miles away. So I stopped by, dropped that out, made her day so she could go to the doctor today. We had one this morning that we had scheduled that we were picking up and dropping off another transporter chair and a wheelchair. So this other little lady, can go to her doctor's appointment today. And this is the thing that is very unique about our whole situation is there are so many people out there with a need because they're not covered by insurance. They don't have all of the other idiosyncrasies that a few of us fortunate people have.
Oh, exactly.
And being a member of the VA and the DAV boys and Chapter 1 DAV here at Fort Snelling, I've worked with just about everybody at the hospital, the VA hospital out here. I've been going there for 38 years myself, so it's not like I'm not an expert in the healthcare. And this, of all of the VA locations in the United States, the top 2 is Minneapolis and St. Cloud.
Yep.
And I know that for a fact because I've talked to people in other parts of the country, and I've seen the statistics and the other things. We have one of the best facilities in the United States. I've talked to the guys in the Pentagon and the boys in Washington because I came out of Army audit on active duty, so I'm very familiar. In fact, I was talking to one of my friends in the Pentagon on 9/11, and it was just one of those things. Sorry.
That's quite all right.
But anyway.
That was a hard day.
Yeah, it was. And he said, what in the hell is going on? Somebody's bombing the Pentagon? I said, you got to be kidding. And I'm sitting there watching TV in the office, and my God, 2 airplanes just flew into the, what do you call it?
Twin Towers.
Twin Towers, yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, that's kind of a hard spot. But so anyway, getting back to what we're talking about here, we have people all over that are coming together because we've all been there, done that, and we have connections. It's like anything else. Everybody thinks the president runs the country. No, the people in this country run the country in spite of the president of this country. So, and that's the good news. And that's why we are a democracy and we work together. And the VA and anybody you call there, and now they will give you our telephone number because we are working with them. I've been going there for over 38 years, and before that I never needed it, but that's another question, I guess. But technically, yes, we have the best facility here, and that's one of the reasons I don't like to see people throwing things away. I come from the old school. I grew up in South Dakota.
You reuse them.
Yeah, it's foolishness. And we've even had situations where people are saying, well, you can't use those mattresses. And I ask them, have you ever been in a motel or hotel? Did they give you a new mattress? Did they put a new cover on it? They may have put a sheet over it, but I don't think they did,
Yeah.
And we all know that situation. That's just another nonsensical because somebody's selling somebody something. And for some of us guys that I hope know better, this is one of the reasons why, and also for mattresses, and especially these that are covered with plastic. The people in South America are sleeping on the ground. And I deal with a company. I went to De La Salle here in Minneapolis. One of my classmates has been working for the last 28 years or 18, 20 years with out of Peru and South America. And so they're just crying for mattresses. I got to keep so many to take care of ours because there for a while they were throwing the mattresses away and we couldn't get them.
Okay.
And so now we've got things pretty well structured. And I have some wonderful chemicals that we use, which kills everything.
That was going to be my next thing. I know you pick them up, you bring them to your shop. Now they're sanitized and scrubbed down.
We
you check for defects or anything like that.
We look them over and make sure. But those mattresses are such durability that it's hard even to imagine. I have a gentleman who has a licensed chemical out of Utah, and I've known his partner for about 25, 30 years. And it's It's also patented. And so it's right up there at the top. And I've tried to sell it to people up here, but unfortunately, they're still used to using the stuff that they get from their providers. And I don't conflict with that. I'm just, all I know is that the stuff works. It kills everything. You can even drink it. First of all, one packet, which is about about 4/10 of an ounce, does 50 gallons.
Wow.
And those 50 gallons you can split into 50 more gallons. So, make a long story short, you can take a shot and it'll kill stuff inside of your body. And it's licensed and
Wow.
patented. So, and isn't it amazing how we don't know about some of those things?
You know, I found out more things the last couple of years than I think I've ever known in my life.
We've never been involved with them. That's the reason, you know. It's,
Probably.
yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Now, say I wanted to get a hold of you or talk about the equipment that you have. Do I come down there? Do I call you? Do I email you?
You can do all of the above.
Okay.
First of all, you're going to find out that our information is not only covered, right now it's one-stop shopping, and that's the way I would like to keep it, because I know that that's the most efficient, because when people talk to you, they know what they're dealing with, and we try to get to everybody as best we can. The only thing we do ask is don't worry about calling us back, because we don't get upset because you're calling back. We get upset when we can't find you.
Okay.
When you've got 150 calls coming in a day, and we're trying to find somebody, and we do have it all coded now too. So if you have a bed that you want to donate, we put down Joe and bed. If you have something you need, we put down, and that's DC, which is Donor Connect. That means we're connecting. And then if it's a need, we put down Joe needs bed. And we have it pretty well. I mean, this sounds really complicated, but that's as complicated as we can get, because we're all a bunch of older guys and we have to have the visibility so that we can immediately determine. And it's not that complicated.
Yeah.
One of the guys was saying, well, why don't we do like DoorDash does? Well, we're not selling sandwiches. And we're not delivering
A little
sandwiches.
bit bigger than a sandwich.
Well, the thing of it is it's personal. I mean, I talked to a lady yesterday, and her husband passed away on Monday, and she wants to get rid of the stuff out of her house. Well, how do you DoorDash something like that?
Yeah.
You have to work with the people, and experience that I've had over my years and career is that you have to take things personal so that these people we don't try. Yes, we've had some people that they got to get it done today, and the only thing it's been sitting there for 2 years, and now they got to get it done. We understand, because sometimes it takes 2 years to get over a situation, and now it's a problem. So it's something that you can't just become objective to these individuals. You have to understand where they're coming from. They couldn't get rid of this because of the fact that it's something that they have had in their life. So
Exactly. It's all very personal.
Yeah.
I mean, I know my chair is personal to me. I needed to get around, especially if I'm going shopping,
sure.
because this is what's going to make it or break me. Either I walk in there and be able to try to walk back out, or I walk in there, just zoom around, pick up what I need, and go.
Sure.
We get emotionally attached to these things because they're kind of a lifeline.
Right. No, I agree. And when you're dealing with these people, it's not like we can, how would I like to use the word, make it impersonal.
Yep.
This is all personal. Whether it was yours, your husband's, your sons, your daughters. I mean, we have sons and daughters that the mothers and fathers are taking care of that have physical problems. And that's the thing that we're in. We're in the physical business, whether we like it or not. And that's what this is all about. It's not just the fact that we're accommodating and facilitating the fact that people don't have the financial capability, because this stuff is expensive. Right now in the truck, I've got one electric wheelchair, which is very similar to yours, and it does probably a couple more things. It's a little cooler. And the guy told me it's about $38,000 for a wheelchair. I mean, even when I was buying Chrysler Imperials and Cadillacs, I never paid over 4, 5, 10,000 for them.
Yep.
And those are big cars. Anyway, make a long story short, yes, we have scooters, walkers, wheelchairs, and especially beds. And I know that sounds kind of funny. I had probably 60 or 70 beds 6 months ago, and I'm down. Well, I gave about 30 or 40 of them to Ukraine and South America. But the bottom line is, in the last 6 months, I've probably given out 35 or 40 locally here, which to me it's like 3 to 5 a week, and that's pretty fantastic. I couldn't pay people to take a bed, and now all of a sudden they're realizing there's nothing wrong with these beds. There's nothing wrong with the mattresses that's on them, and you buy covers to put on them anyway. And if you stay in a motel, you and I both know.
Well, if you went to the hospital, that's all they'd do is change it all over.
Yeah, and rub it down with some of their chemicals to kill it. It's probably the most sterile thing in the hospital is the beds.
Yep.
Because of that. So.
Well, I hate to do this, but I know we're going to be getting cut off here in a few minutes. We will put your name out there and how to get a hold of you.
Sure.
If you have any questions, they could call you personally. This is your direct number?
One-stop shopping. We don't play around with having interconnect. And so that's why one of the reasons I tell them, don't get upset if you have to call back, because our days change hour by hour, minute by minute in some cases. Like the other day when I had to drop off a transport chair for a gal that's going to the hospital. So these are things that, and most people, I've never had anybody really complain other than, well, I called you and I left the information last week. And I'm going, please call me. And that brings you right to the head of our leaderboard, by the way, because now guess what? With my cell phone, it automatically puts you in today's business.
Nice.
Therefore, I can then come back. I have been looking since yesterday afternoon for a guy that has an electric scooter or wheelchair, and I can't find him. Now, I don't know, it's the wonderful world of T-Mobile that has managed to accommodate that, or what happened to it. Because, these are mechanical pieces.
So if they can't get a hold of you right away,
call back. And I say that right on my message. I said, don't feel upset, just call back. And don't email, because I get 40, 60, 80, 100 emails a day, and about 98% of those are junk. And by the way, once or twice a week, I'll go through, and I'm sitting there on my phone going through the emails to see if there's anything that shows up that I haven't surfaced. And what's nice is I have a checks and balance, which means that I can immediately find out what the situation is, and I can go back and check. So I tell them, don't ever worry about the callbacks, because that's part of the plan. And when I can figure out how to eliminate those, we'll all be in better. Well, I'll be able to. I think what I'm doing next is I'm going to be putting codes on things that people can just put in there, and therefore they can text me information. Yeah. But I haven't figured out how to put that on my voicemail yet. So.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I appreciate it, and we really appreciate anything that we could do for your people and our people, not your people.
Exactly. We all work together.
Our people. You're right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.